It's the sure sign of a good time. The just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
Welcome to this week's Picks. I'm Tony Softly, my man Randy Carricker here. Randy, you know what? The Rams special teams have been struggling a little bit. Here they kick another one to a return guy, and the results are the same. We faced Ted Ginn Jr. this week. Not we, they. And 11.4 on punt return, 28.6 on kickoff return. Do they kick to this guy? Do they kick it out of bounds? What are your thoughts?
Well, they shouldn't, but based upon their history, they will. There seems to be this macho feeling with the Rams that, hey, it doesn't matter, we can stop anybody, and they continue to kick it to people like Patrick Peterson. And eventually you have to learn the lesson. Burned once, twice shy. That's what it should be, but they kicked to Patrick Peterson last week. I have no reason, Tony, to believe that they won't kick it to Ginn and gamble with another touchdown by the special teams.
Well, when they show us they can do that and kick it away or kick it out of bounds, we'll believe it. Hey, let's look at the St. Louis offense when they face this defense of the San Francisco 49ers. Patrick Peterson, Navarro Bowman, a lot of weapons, Justin Smith, Aldon Smith. I mean, is there a chance that these guys can overcome all those blue players on that side of the ball?
No, I think that the Rams will do well to score a point, actually, against them. They allow 3.5 yards a rush. They're far and away the top rushing defense in the NFL. Haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 33 games, and that's the only thing the Rams do well, is run the ball, and they're trying to do so with a deficient offensive line, with all those players up front, with Ray McDonald, with Sopoaga, with Justin Smith, and then, as you mentioned, Bowman and Willis as their inside linebackers and a pretty good pair of safeties. It's going to be very difficult for the Rams to run on them, and then when the Rams are put in a passing situation, they'll bring in Aldon Smith, the Mizzou star, and he's a star in San Francisco, make no mistake about it. I don't see how the Rams have any success offensively against the San Francisco defense unless something fluky happens.
You know, when I watch the tape, I'm looking at the tape, and I can't tell if it's 52 or 53. These guys are starting to look just like him. I think Navarro Bowman's coming on to be a big-time star. He's leading them in tackles as well. You know, the sky's the limit for that young man.
And you talk about a linebacking core. How about Navarro Bowman, Josh Hull, and Sean Lee at Penn State? And Hull was the best guy at Penn State, and Lee has turned into a star in Dallas. Bowman, you're right, is a star in San Francisco. You hope that Josh Hull can get to a level where he's a star, or at least a starter here in St. Louis at some level, getting a lot of playing time. But Bowman and Willis in the middle of a 3-4 doesn't get any better than that.
There's no question. Let's talk about the Rams offense. What are they going to have to do in third down, red zone, and quickly explain that.
Well, the keys for the Rams are going to be to tighten up and completely protect. I presume it'll be A.J. Feely. Completely protect him. I think this is a situation where you might be able, if you're going to succeed, to get some good work out of a guy like Lance Kendricks. Maybe you can get him isolated on a linebacker or a safety, but you have to get the ball out of there in a hurry, because when you are in third down, when you are in red zone, you know they're going to be coming after the quarterback. And like I said, it's going to be difficult to run, so you're going to have to pass, and you're going to have to get it out of there in a big hurry.
You know, they'll have to worry about that, but they've got to get there in order to get in the red zone.
That's exactly right. And it's going to be hard. Once again, another thing that San Francisco does well is their kicking game allows teams to start inside their 25-yard line on the average. San Francisco, #1 in the league with their opponents starting drives at the 24.8-yard line. It's going to be hard for the Rams to move the ball into position to get it to score.
Okay, here we are. We're at this part of the show where we make our picks. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, I have a bad feeling about this. A couple of years ago, the Rams went into San Francisco and lost by a score of 35-0. And this, to me, smells like one of those kinds of games. Like I said, I think the trouble for the Rams scoring is going to be monumental, and I just have trouble believing that the Rams are going to be able to stop their run. I would think a couple by Gore, a touchdown from one of their wide receivers, a touchdown from Davis, and they are going to punt to Ginn. So I'm looking at a 35-0 kind of game.
You know what? I am going with San Francisco as well, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that. I'm going 24-10 if that's close. Yeah, I see there's just too much talent, too many blue players on San Francisco's team for these guys to match up, and it's hard for red players to match up with blue players, and it's obvious in this type of game. I think it's going to be evident. So.
And one statistic of note is that The one time in 11 games this year that the Rams have scored more than one offensive touchdown, A.J. Feely was the quarterback.
There you go. You know, he's 1-1. What the heck? Let's go with it, right? Hey, that's it for this week. For Randy Carricker, I'm Tony Softly. Make sure you log on to 101sports.com, TonySoftly.com as well. We'll see you next week.